Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, February 25th. It's been a while since I've vlogged. I've just been sort of overwhelmed with work and with school and everything, and I just didn't get a chance to pick up my camera the last couple of weeks. Being on, we had the last 2 Mondays off. That sort of threw me off schedule too. So yeah, so it's been a while. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Kelly. I teach 2nd grade in California, and yeah, so today should be a fairly straightforward day. We've got a few things. It's almost time for parent conferences and report cards, which means I have to start doing some testing. Mostly what I need to do is fluency testing and then get the students to finish their research reports on animals. My goal was to have each kid write 2 rough drafts of reports and then choose between those 2 which one they wanted to write about, but some of the kids are taking a really long time on their first one. I think most of them are done with their first one. There's a couple of kids who are still working on it, but we're gonna start today and doing our final drafts on those research reports, and then grades aren't due until I believe next week. I really do need to check that, but I want to start getting that done because it's kind of an involved process. And then, like I said, I'm fluency testing in the afternoon. We were going to do a science experiment today, but I didn't prepare. It's called the Great Shoe Slide, and you needed to get a variety of shoes and take them to, we would have gone to our multi-purpose room and then slid the shoes and measured how far they went, but I didn't gather the shoes that I needed, and all the kids, you know, it's like get a sandal, which I don't have any sandals that aren't, I have hiking sandals, but I don't think that's what they mean. I think they mean sandals with smooth surfaces on the bottom, tennis shoes, boots, those kind of things. And I woke up this morning and realized I wasn't prepared, so we're just going to keep writing. So we'll write after, I'll do fluency testing, we'll do writing, and then we'll come back and we'll continue writing before we pack up to go to RTI. So yeah, so this morning, it's like I said, it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna come in, we're gonna do ELA. We are a little, we are doing 2 weeks for this particular story, well, for all the stories from now on, and I had planned to already be done with comprehension on the story by this week, but we didn't get to it last week, so we're going to be rereading the story today and doing comprehension. In math, we're doing 2-digit addition. On Friday, I introduced 2-digit addition with regrouping in the ones, and most of them pretty much got it, but I decided what I wanted to do is have them do the homework page, which I don't send home for homework, do the word problems on that page, for that lesson, and then have them do the homework page for extra practice before moving on to regrouping in the 10s, because I really want them to understand how to regroup. Oh no, I just realized I made a work mat for them to work on with regrouping in the 10s, and regrouping in the 1s, and I completely forgot to print it out this weekend. Oh man. Oh well, it's okay. I just can't believe I had that, and then I had something else that I needed to print out, but the something else I'm not doing till Friday, so I thought, oh well, I'll do it later in the week, and I can't, I should have emailed it to myself. That's what I meant to do, was email, because I can't print off my school print computer at home, so I usually email things to myself, but I think I just uploaded it to Google Drive and planned to do it, and I just completely forgot. So teacher brain strikes again. Okay, so the bell rang. It's almost time for me to go pick up the kids. I will catch up with you a little bit later. Bye. Hello everybody, it is now the end of the day. Yeah, it was not the best day, to be perfectly honest. It started out well. We did some activities on when we how to change the Y to an I when we add ES to nouns and verbs. They are really seeming to understand that. We'll see. I had one student who did it perfectly right all morning. And then when we got to writing, she kept writing puppies, P-U-P-P-Y-S. So I circled that and I was like, you need to look at that. We just learned this skill this morning. And she's like, oh yeah, and went and fixed it. But overall, they're picking it up pretty well. I am going to keep reviewing it this week. And we're doing an activity where I'm going to put cards around the room with words that end in Y on Friday, and then they're going to go around the room and they're going to find those words and then write how to write them correctly, with IES at the end of them. So that went well. We did we started our comprehension for the story, and I did something different. Usually we just do it all together, and so it's you know, some kids are really getting it and some kids are just sort of along for the ride. But today I started making them do it on their own. I gave them the sentence frame. I gave them how I wanted them to start the sentence, and they needed to finish it themselves. And you know, they did okay. There was some kids that just, they didn't get it, or like one of them, we're reading a story about Gabriela Mistral, who was a Nobel Prize winner for literature. And when she was a kid, she liked to play teacher, and she made one of the kids that she played with write his ABCs until he had them memorized, because she wanted him to be able to write his own stories. But before it said that, she said, I thought the ABCs were important, which is part of the answer, but I really wanted them to write, you know, it's because she wanted Pedro to be able, the boy, to tell his own stories. So we had a big discussion about that. ELD went well. We're working next week, I believe, is when we start the LPAC testing. So we're really working on writing for the LPAC. I'm just really hammering that because that's where we score the lowest, and I want them to have a fighting chance. Then we did math. I did go ahead and print out. So what happened is I was going to take this home because I only have white cardstock at home, and I was thinking I needed to photocopy it on white cardstock, and then I remembered I had colored cardstock here. So I printed this out. So it's just a hundreds chart where they have hundreds, tens, and then I gave them the tens frames and the ones, because I'm still having a lot of students not be able to do it neatly enough on their own that they can tell when they have over 10. So hopefully eventually, because what happened when we did that with 2-digit numbers is eventually they weaned themselves off of it and were able to do it on their own. I'm hoping they'll do that there. But so that's what we did. I pulled a group and worked on the homework page. I had the rest of the class do the homework page, and then that's where things started to sort of dive, because what happened is I corrected them all during lunch, and there were a lot of errors, and it was a lot of them forgetting to move their 10 over, their 10 ones over and regroup as 10 as a 10, or counting their ones wrong. It was a lot of little errors, not in procedure, but in, hold on, somebody's coming. Okay, so as I was saying, they're having problems just with the little calculations, not the procedures. So I had them go ahead and redo. I circled what they needed to do, and I had the kids who didn't make any errors get their iPads so they could do typing while I fluency tested. And I had the rest of them do their corrections and return it. They were very loud. I could not get them to settle. Even once they started typing, they were very loud. And then at recess, I put them all in order, or I checked them really quickly to make sure they had done it right. There was a couple, and grabbed the few that hadn't. There was sorry, I'm very distracted. There are people outside my door talking. And I think they're coming, so I'm just going to turn this off. So everyone has finished coming into my room for the moment. Anyway, so I had them redo them and then give them back, and the math pages, give them back, work on typing. It was very, very loud during all that. I didn't put the bouncing balls up there then, which is it's called bouncingballs.org. I believe it runs through your computer. It monitors the sound. You set the sensitivity for the microphone, and then the bells bounce depending on how loud they are, and then it'll tell them quiet if the bells are bouncing too much. I didn't do that then because I was fluency testing. So I'm doing that. Then I get to recess and I quickly correct them. I was able to grab a couple of students during to go over them at some point. But then I realized I was missing one. So I went to the student's desk, and she had taken it and not just put it in her desk, put it in her homework folder. Didn't do any of the corrections, just completely flat out lied to me. And I was already starting to get frustrated because, well, I was already starting to get frustrated, and I'll explain why in a second. But that was just, it was like they just lied to me. They just completely lied about doing the work. So after recess, I told them that they are going to the buddy room tomorrow at recess, and they are doing that work for me and actually doing the corrections. And they're lucky they didn't get an infraction for noncompliance. So to top it off, I was already stressed because I wanted to start getting the final drafts done on those writing research projects, and I started going over to the booklet how I wanted it to be filled out, and I copied it wrong. I hit that it needed to be two-sided to two-sided, and the mode didn't switch over, so it copied the whole thing wrong. So I wasted all that paper, and I wasn't ready. So I was like, keep working on your projects, just do it, and then we'll do it after recess. So it was good that we weren't going to do science. We get in from after recess. All but 4 kids were done with at least one research project. So I had them start. The other 4, I was like, get done. You can't work together anymore because you're just wasting time. And 2 of those kids came up and gave me research projects that were exactly the same. I mean, all the kids that had been working and doing their research together had similar things, but they all phrased the sentences their own way. But these 2 kids, it was word for word exactly the same. And I said, I honestly, I said, I don't know what to do because one of you copied, one of you cheated. I don't know which one. I don't have enough time to have you redo it right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to give them both 2s because I don't know which is which. And so I'm already starting to feel like I want to just cry. And then they're writing. I do have the bouncy balls up, and I have a split class, and my 3rd graders start making noise to try and make the balls bounce. And I told them to stop, and I reminded them that you are guests in my class, and I expect you to be working. And they had work because the work that their teacher had given them, they finished it fairly quickly. So I sent to the office a packet, and I was like, copy this for my kids, these kids, so they have something to do. And a lot of them just weren't. They were just messing around. And then one of them stole the other one's Eagle dollars, school money, and that caused a big disruption. So I had to give an infraction because I was getting so overwhelmed by that point. I was so close to calling the office and asking for somebody to come and take over because I needed to go cry. But I held it together. We had a lot of handouts that needed to go home, even though we're supposed to hand out all the handouts on Wednesday. They're asking us to do handouts today. So I did that, got their homework out, went over their spelling homework with them. We packed up, and then we go to RTI, and once again, one of the RTI teachers is gone. So I've got an extra block of kids. They're working on the iPads. All my kids are here today. Hallelujah. It was wonderful. So we were able to do the lesson. And as we finished the lesson, if they were in my class, I had them do Lexia, which is their iPad intervention that they do that we finally got access to. And the other 2 kids took the whole time, the ones that aren't in my class. So that was fine. I think there was like 5 minutes left. I had them read those last 5 minutes. But they came back, they were loud. Oh, and then as I'm walking around, one of my kids has a shard of glass on their desk. And I'm like, where did you get this? Well, this other student, the same student who had lied to me about the math homework or the math work, had found it and given it to them. And so I took it. When I saw that student, I told her, if you find glass, you do not pick it up. And I gave her the whole thing. I didn't pick it up. It was the student that she gave it to. So now, again, they're lying to me, and I don't know who it is. So I'm already not in the best place mentally these last few weeks. It's been a real rough time. And then today was just so hard to get through. And now I have a meeting after school, and people are saying, can we move it early? Which, no, we can't, because the union mandates that we have our prep time for, until 3:25. And technically I am working on report cards right now, so I do need that prep time. But Deep breaths. I know, deep breath. It's just, and I know I'm not the only teacher struggling. I was watching Janice over at One Happy Teacher this weekend, and she is also struggling and mentioned that a lot of her teacher friends are struggling. So it's nice to know it's not just me, but today was really rough, and I'm just going to go home and cry and do whatever I can to make myself not feel so horrible. And hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. So I will see you then. Bye. Hello everybody, it is now Tuesday. It is after school. It was a much better day than yesterday. It went a lot more smoothly. It just overall, I don't feel quite as bad as I did. I still am just struggling just in general. So I still kind of just want to put my head down and cry, but that's just more, I think, the time of year, the fact that I can see that it's going to rain tomorrow. So the weather is affecting my mood. So, but overall the day went fine. We actually, we had a really fun time in ELA this morning. I wrote all their high frequency words up on the board, and I don't have fly swatters in my classroom. I meant to buy them. I always mean to buy them, and I never do. So I gave them brooms instead, which, because I wanted something soft. So I would say a high frequency words, 2 kids would be up there, and whoever touched the word first with the broom won and got to stay up there. And the kids had a lot of fun with that. I got everybody up, and I had some kids who had like a really long streak, and then they lost, and it was all exciting for the kids. We also learned about suffixes y and ful, or full, and they seemed to really get it, which was good. We'll review that tomorrow. And then what else did we do? We read the story some more, or no, we answered comprehension questions. And again, one of them I did with them, because when I had asked them this one, we were reading the story, they didn't understand it. So the story is about like I said, a Nobel Prize literature winner. She loved to play school when she was a kid, and she actually ran a school, and she taught her friends how to do the ABCs, and they would have recess, and it ran very much like a school. So when she grew up, she also became a teacher. So the question was, is it surprising that she became a teacher when she grew up? And I kept having kids say, yes, it's surprising. And I said, why? Well, why would you want to become a teacher or something like that? And it's like, but what did she do when she was a kid? She played school. She pretended she was a teacher. Why did she do that? So once we talked it through, they got it, but I still had kids, and they're able to say, okay, so it wasn't surprising that she grew up. But even today, when I asked that question, I had kids like, yeah, it's surprising. I'm like, really? So we did that. And again, except for that question, I gave them the beginning of the sentence frame that I wanted them to use, and then I had them answer, and they did a lot better today. So that was nice. And then ELD, we're still working on writing skills, which they're getting better. So one of the writing skills that they have to do is they're given a story. They're given the first line of a story, and then the second line is missing a word, so they have to fill the word in, and then they have to end the story. So like yesterday, it was, I like to go shopping, I need new clothes, so I went to the mall, and they had to fill in the word mall, and then they had to fill in the last line. Well, I've got a lot of kids who want to end every story, and then we went home. It was hot at the beach, we were sitting in the shade, and then we went home. Every story. And so finally yesterday I told them, you cannot end the story with, and then we went home. I need you to write what happens next in the story that makes sense. So we did that today. We also did, there's a nonfiction section where we read a paragraph about some sort of scientific thing. So today I read them a paragraph about kiwi birds, and then they're given the first sentence, I dictate a sentence, and then they have to end the story, and there's a picture there that has captions on it, and they can use that picture and words. And they did really well. The majority of them really listened to the story and were able to write down, or what I dictated, and were able to write down a good sentence. But the funny one was, so it said in the paragraph, it said kiwis have small wings and they cannot fly. And I actually had one kid who said that kiwis have wings and they can fly very high. And I was like, you you didn't listen to me, did you? I can tell you didn't listen because... So we went to library. Library was nice. It was AR prize day. One of the kids that won the prize wasn't expecting. She has very low self-esteem, and a lot of the praise that is heaped on her, and I'm very conscious to give her a lot of praise, sort of goes over her head. So she just had it in her mind that she was never going to get rewarded for AR. So she was very very proud and very appreciative that she got it, and she thanked me. And I told her that, you know, hey, you're awesome, you deserved it, you know, that it wasn't me giving it to you, it was you earning it. Then we did math. We were concentrating on regrouping tens to hundreds, which is new. We haven't done that before. And for the most part, they picked it up. A lot of them are still making the same mistake where it's so funny. They circle their 10 tens, they cross them out, they see, oh, I only have 2 left. But then, and they even draw the arrow over into the hundreds place, and then they forget to draw 100. So their hundreds are wrong, but their tens and ones are right. So we're just working on that. It was a little frustrating because I did have a student who missed the lesson because they were digging in their desk for their Eagle dollars, which I didn't realize they were doing until it was too late, and their stuff was all over the desk, all over the floor. So when I pulled my small group, I told them to come over, and I was like, I just want to catch you up on the lesson so you know what to do. And they're like, I know what to do. I don't want to come over. And real defiant and just refusing. And finally I had to say, if you don't come over, I'm going to have to give you an infraction because you're being non-compliant and you're being really disrespectful. So they came over and they just wouldn't work. So finally I said, you know what, fine. So they got a lot of them wrong, but then their seat partner, I just circled it and sent them back, and they went over, and I think their seat partner talked them through it. And they did end up apologizing for their attitude, but it was so frustrating. It's like, I even told them, it's like, I'm probably only going to need to show you 1 or 2 problems and then you'll get it. But you missed the lesson. And if you don't hear the lesson, you're not going to get what to do. And they just buckled down. So then we brought them back to do fluency testing, and I told them they could do Epic, Prodigy, or typing. And of course the internet went down. Excuse me. So I told them, just take out a book and read, or take out your journals and write. And then right when we had to pack up, the internet started working. So I suspect a lot of people were on the internet so they could get testing done, because report cards are due in 2 weeks. Sorry. So I think that's what happened. And then for RTI, it went okay. I had one kid got pulled out early. I had one student who was supposed to be an RSP, but then he got pulled out early. So I guess the RSP teacher decided to end the lesson early and sent the other student over. But I had copies for everyone. We got through the first page, and then we got to the second page, and like my 2 kids were reading and concentrating and doing what they needed to do, and the other 2 kids were trying, but it was very clear that they were just giving half the effort and weren't really reading the passages. They were just, because they had to read a short paragraph and then match it up with the picture that it went with, and they weren't reading, they were just guessing and putting the numbers. So I put my kids on Lexia, and then I worked with the other 2 kids and had them really read those passages to me, and that took the rest of the period. And then it was the end of the day, and yay. So that was my day. I'm gonna go ahead and I have report cards that I need to work on, and then I've got a staff meeting, and then I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna sleep. Yeah, that's the plan for today. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Hey everybody, today is now Thursday, Thursday, February 28th. I didn't get a chance to vlog yesterday. It was just sort of a rush all day. Today I feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above water and get through the end of the week. I just feel like there's so many things being thrown at me. Yesterday overall it wasn't a bad day, and then we got to writing, and again it felt like everything fell apart. We're doing these research booklets where we wrote a rough draft, and the rough draft had an introduction. They're on animals, an introduction, what do they look like, what do they eat, what can they do, and a conclusion. So there's 5 pages, and I walked them through the they all did that, and they all, all except maybe one person had an introduction. I walked them through the final draft book. I said, this is where you're going to write your introduction. This is where you're going to write what does it look like. I went through that, and I've gotten most of the books turned in, and there's no introduction, and I don't understand it, and I almost started crying. I was so I just went, you know what? I will grade the rough draft as that's the grade for just informational writing. We have one that's production and distribution of writing, which is with help from an adult, are they able to take it to a final draft form that looks neat and organized, which, all the corrections not there, the neatness not there, so I'm getting a lot of low scores on that. And then I think there's one other grade, and I can't remember what it is right now. I actually might be wrong. I think it's just those two, the writing and then the production and distribution, because I'm just tired. One awesome thing that happened is I had done a donor's choose project to get some flexible seating options in here. I got 4 floor seats, I got 4 wobble cushions, and then I have wobble stools, which are on the way. I have the floor seats and the wobble cushions, and the floor seats, I'm trying to get as many students to get a chance to sit in them before I try to do more traditional flexible seating where the kids can choose where they're going to sit, which I don't know if that's going to happen, but so I'm just running the kids through. But the wobble cushions, like, no, these wobble cushions are for these 4 students because they cannot sit in their seats without, they're standing up, they're leaning on their chairs, they're wiggling, they're wobbling, they're falling out of their chair. So I got the wobble cushions set up yesterday. I gave them to the 4 students, and oh my God, they made such a difference. All 4 students sat in their seats all day, and they wiggled, and they did what they needed to do, but they were not standing up. They did not have their chairs pushed out super far while their legs were resting on them, and it was amazing. And it's still working today, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it continues to work, because I saw such a great big huge difference. So today, one thing that we did this morning is I had them write in their journals about the character of Gabriella. Well, she wasn't a character, she was a real person. The woman Gabriella Mistral, who was in our book that we just read, or the story we read, and they had to write what she was like, and they had to use text evidence to support it. So I did an example first, and then I had them do it on their own, and all of them were able to do it. Even my student who's not independent and cannot write, I went over to her, I asked her, what is Gabriella Mistral like, and she said she's nice, and so I wrote that down, and she copied it, and I said, okay, how do you know she's nice? And she said, because she cares about kids, which, bingo. So that's what she did, and then she drew a picture. And all the other kids, they wrote quite a bit. So because we're now taking 2 weeks for the story, I am going to start incorporating more journal. There's a journal prompt every week. I've done it maybe once or twice, so now I'm going to try and do that every week or every 2 weeks. Every story that we read, we're going to go ahead and read do the journal prompt entry, and if I don't like it, then I'll change it. But yeah, so I'm getting things ready, because I'm going to make all my copies for next week after school, and then I've been working on my grades, because grades are due, or parent conferences are in 2 weeks. I'm trying to get all my parent conferences scheduled, which is stressful, but I've got most of them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that I still need to confirm, but it'll get done, it'll be fine. And so yeah, so hopefully the rest of the day goes smoothly. I will catch up with you at the end of the day. Bye. Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, March 1st, so we finally made it to March. It has not rained all week, even though it was supposed to rain the last 2 days. It is supposed to rain today, so we'll see what happens. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't. The day isn't off to the best start so far. I hurt my foot yesterday. Well, I hurt my foot 2 days ago, and it's just been sort of getting worse. And then yesterday I went to the gym, and after the gym I was like, yeah, my foot really, really hurts. So right now it doesn't hurt if I don't put pressure on it. I'm limping around to keep pressure off of it, which is now hurting my ankle and my knee. So I don't know what to do about that. I probably shouldn't be here. I probably should have taken today off and gone to the doctor, but I didn't. So we'll see what happens. I might end up leaving early just so I could go to the doctor and get it checked out. I hate going to the doctor. I feel like every time I do, I'm told that there's nothing wrong with me and I'm just faking it. So that's why I didn't, but I don't know, it hurts. So it is Read Across America today. I don't know what we're doing. Usually we have some people who come from the district or from the community and read out loud to the kids. I didn't think I wanted to do some sort of activity, but I didn't know when Read Across America was until Wednesday, and I just didn't have time to put things together. So we're gonna read. I'll read a Dr. Seuss book, probably Daisy Head Maisie, because that's the only one I ever know where it is. And we'll do stuff. We're also gonna do an activity today on changing Y to I when adding ES. I'm gonna put these cards around the room, and they're going to get this paper and they're just going to find the words, write them down, and change the Y to an I and IES. So they're going to write the plural or the present tense form. And I got this from J. Ross on Teachers Pay Teachers. It says the Teacher's Corner, maybe. I can't tell what that last word is. But I found that resource and this looks like fun. So that'll get the kids up and moving. I think today in math we're going to start doing subtraction with regrouping from 10s to 1s. Yesterday I gave a formative assessment on adding and they all aced it. I mean, there's a couple of them where they're off by maybe 1 or everything was right, but they forgot to draw a 10 in the 10s place, so their 10s were wrong. And I just told them to redo it. And once they did it, I think I had to coach one kid on what to do. But otherwise they did really well. So today was supposed to be a review and enrich day, but I don't see the point of reviewing and enriching if they all get it, and especially since I'm already behind where the other teachers are. So that's the plan. And then after lunch, the day should go pretty smoothly. It's just spelling test and then typing skills. And I have, I think, 2 or 3 students who aren't done with their writing, so they'll be working on that. And yeah, let me go ahead, even though I probably shouldn't stand up. I did want to show you my new flexible seating. Oops, my camera just got loose. So this is the wobble cushion. It has the bumps on the one side, and then there are these little spikes on the other side, and they can sit on either one, and it wobbles a little bit when they sit, and it just keeps them sitting. And then these are my new floor seats. They're really comfortable. I don't know why this one is upside down, but they can sit on them. They could lie back on them. Some of them just put them all the way back and they lie on their stomach. But that's those. And what I eventually would like to do is get a little table, and I'm thinking I have this round table over here. I'm thinking of either lowering this one by taking the legs off, or just getting a small like end table or something that's low to the ground that they'll be able to use and sit in those seats and work in them at the table. So that's the plan. But yeah, so I'm gonna go get set up for the day, and I should catch up with you later. Bye. Hi everybody, it is now Saturday, March, what is it, the 3rd, the 2nd? I think it's March 2nd. I don't even know right now. So I ended up leaving school early yesterday because my foot was just really bothering me. I wasn't able to walk. It was in pain. I almost started crying a few times in class. The pain wasn't overwhelming, but it was more just this kind of despair of I did something to my foot. I don't know what it is. I have to go see a doctor. I can't stay in class. And so I ended up, they split my class, which the kids were super excited that they were getting split. They were, when I was calling teachers to let them know, by the way, I'm sending you kids in a few minutes, the kids were, yay, we're getting split, we're getting split. And I just told them, well, guys, you're hurting my feelings, which they weren't really. It was just, I wanted them to stop cheering because it was so loud. So they sat down. I told them what happened. I said, I hurt my foot, which I told them a little bit before. I hurt my foot. I need to go to the doctor. So you're going to go to these other classes. This is the work you're going to do. I flipped through it. Luckily, I had enough. Anytime I make copies of something and then I end up not getting a chance to do it with the kids, I put it aside in a file for subs, so if they ever have extra time and they need to fill it, they could go through that file and pull papers. So I had a few things in there that I just pulled. I put together quick little packets for them to do. I had a Scholastic News that I never used last year. I threw that on the pile and I was like, that's it. So I still have my big thick packet in case I'm ever absent and they need to get split. So that's what they did, and I went to the doctor, which was a little bit of an ordeal. I went to urgent care and it was a 3-hour wait, and I almost started crying in the waiting room thinking I have to be here for 3 hours. I didn't bring enough books. I was thinking maybe an hour tops. But they told me that I didn't have to wait there. I could go home or go to a store or something, and they would call me when there was one patient ahead of me. So that's what happened is I went home, I waited my 3 hours, they called me, I went back, and it turns out I did fracture a bone in my foot. It's called a seismodial bone. I don't know where I put the paper right now, but basically you have these tendons in your feet and under your big toe, and in between the tendon on the top and the bottom of your toe, you've got these two little bones. And he said, some people have one, most people have two, you look like you have three. And he showed me the x-ray. So I think he wasn't, because he put that it was a possible fracture. I think he honestly wasn't sure if the bone was fractured or if I actually have three of these bones, but he said all indications point to one of these bones is cracked. The one that looks like it's three is cracked, and it's protruding on the bottom of your foot where you're putting your pressure. So there's not much to do except tape it, rest in ice, heat to do that, which I'm like, how do I ice the bottom of my foot comfortably? So I'm trying to figure that out. I've got it taped up and it's feeling a lot better. I'm taking ibuprofen for the pain, and it's just sort of a matter of I gotta sit and wait this out. Hopefully, originally he'd given me like a little mini ace bandage, and the ace bandage of the tape, and he's like, we use one of these too depending on which one. So I tried the ace bandage first, and with that ace bandage I couldn't even get my foot into a shoe. I didn't do it at the doctor's office. I had come home and then I wanted to check my mail, and so now I think with the tape I'll be able to put it in a shoe, but I might be wearing sandals this week because I've got like hiking sandals that I can adjust how big they are, and which is kind of going to suck because again it's going to rain this week. So it's going to be an interesting week. I'll just be taking it easy, and you know, luckily I've already got all my lesson plans and all my copies done for the week, for next week I mean, except for things, so I don't need to worry about going in Monday with nothing. It's just I'm just so bummed that this happened, but it is what it is, and I will get through this, and I'll be okay. So yeah, so that was my week. It was an interesting week. It ended where I did not expect it to end. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was just a lot of talking, and I think a lot of me complaining just because of kind of where I am right now. But hopefully it'll get better, and you know, things will improve. It's going to be spring soon, and things will get better. It'll be downhill till the end of the year, so it'll be good. All right, so once again, thank you for joining in. Please leave comments below. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe if you want to see more content. And I appreciate you watching, and have a wonderful day.